are people who have newly arrived from overseas in quarantine, which means there were no extra or new community transmission cases overnight, which is a pleasing result and demonstrates that by sticking together we can continue to do well in New South Wales. And I'm very pleased today to be joined by Minister Dominello, the Minister for Customer Service, but also by Leon Colosimo and his family who run the Bella here, to talk about how businesses are adjusting to the COVID-safe world. We know that as long as there isn't a vaccine or a cure, that all of us have to live in a COVID-safe way. And I want to congratulate the 8,000 or so businesses that have already visited Service New South Wales to make sure they're COVID safe, and this provides safety for their customers, their patrons, their staff, but also means that they have a sustainable business model. It means that no matter what the restrictions are, and we will be easing more restrictions, if we continue to do well in New South Wales, we know that the pressure will come off businesses in terms of what they can do. And the Bella here is a wonderful example of how a business has signed up to the COVID safe rules and is now able to bring back many of the staff that it wasn't able to use. Although some have reduced hours, at least we know this business is doing everything it can to maintain that COVID safe environment. And certainly I want to encourage all businesses across the state to look at their industry and the checklist we have on the Service New South Wales website, and as Minister Dominello will explain in further detail, we also have the ability for businesses to download an official COVID safe sign which they can put up in their business to demonstrate to their customers, demonstrate to their staff that they have signed the checklist for their industry. And we know as restrictions ease, more workers will come back to their jobs, more patrons will be able to enjoy themselves at their favourite venues. But until we have a cure, all of us have to have that social distancing, that extra hand hygiene and those extra precautions to keep everybody safe. And I will foreshadow that given New South Wales is doing better than we'd expected at this stage, that we are looking to further ease restrictions, and there'll be announcements about that in the next little while. But in the meantime, can I encourage all businesses across the state to please sign up to the COVID Safe checklist to make sure their patrons, their staff and new customers are aware that they're COVID safe. And certainly as a customer, as a patron, I'll be making sure that every venue I attend has the COVID safe checklist to make sure that everybody is safe, and that's an extra precaution all of us can take. I'll now invite Minister Dominello to say a few words.
Okay, we'll leave that.
But then that's good competition. Those venues that are COVID safe or have the official sticker will obviously attract more patrons. So everybody has to be COVID safe, but if you've officially downloaded the checklist and officially been given the ability to have that sticker, it obviously means that your patrons, your staff and anyone in the vicinity of your business knows that you've made that effort. And I think businesses that do demonstrate that COVID safe credential will be well patronised, perhaps compared to others that don't.
What's stopping them from lying on the checklist?
Well, obviously, we also will make sure that our fair trading and Minister Dominello has made sure that all of the regulators in the various parts of the system, whether they're checking up on businesses doing the right thing with food and other things, will also ensure that there's a COVID safe checklist as well now. So when a business is being regulated or a business is being checked up on, obviously we're upskilling all of the regulators to check on those COVID safe lists. At the end of the day, if a business or a patron doesn't do the right thing, the consequences can be horrible. And I know how much the Colosimo family values its corporate reputation, and that's why they've taken the effort to be COVID safe. And I'm sure all businesses who want to maintain their good reputation and want to make sure that their environment is safe will want to download the checklist, because it means that everybody who enters their premises is safe. And I don't think any business would want to run the risk of knowing there was a breakout because their business didn't do the right thing, because then the risk for that business is substantial, not just in relation to the action that might be taken against them, but also in terms of their corporate reputation. It would be difficult to recover if knowingly you hadn't done the right thing and there was a mass breakout because of something on your premises.
One industry that has been calling for certainty about when they can reopen is function centres and wedding planners and the like. They're making the point that they should be allowed to open to more than 20 people for a wedding. And in fact, today one wedding venue operator has said that he's going to open on July 1 for unlimited patrons, regardless of what the rules are. Why should they still face these strict restrictions when 20,000 people were able to march in the city?
Well, look, these restrictions are based on health advice, and they're not there because anybody wants to impose restrictions. They're there because we know they keep people safe. And the health experts as late as today are gathering about the future of restrictions and what advice they might give. And in New South Wales, we have really pushed the boundaries. We've made sure that as soon as we've had the green light from the health experts, we've jumped ahead of what the other states have done, especially in relation to businesses and jobs. And we've taken a huge leap of faith because this is a partnership. Business and government and community have been working together to make sure we keep New South Wales as COVID safe as possible. And we want to make sure that good work continues. But I want to let every industry know that our frame of mind is definitely one in which further restrictions will be announced. One in which, because we are doing well, we can continue to look at the further easing of restrictions, but that will be put at risk if all of us don't keep working together to do the right thing, and that is really important.
Will you be stamping on that particular business, Premier?
I'm sorry?
Will you be stamping on that particular business? You know, punishing that business if it goes ahead and opens and disregards all?
Absolutely, because as regulators, as Minister Dominello explained, there are a number of different types of regulators that check up on businesses all the time, and they will now have a COVID-safe checklist as well. But it's up to all of us as patrons and as staff and the businesses themselves. We believe that businesses to date have done an outstanding job. In fact, the businesses that have contacted the New South Wales government, we've had, I think Minister Dominello's latest figures were 8,000 businesses have already downloaded the COVID safe checklist. Now that is outstanding given it hasn't been around for a very long time. So we are very heartened by the response we've had, and the vast majority of businesses, just like the vast number of people in the community, want to do the right thing. They just want guidance and certainty, and that's what our government is doing. And I don't think I've seen any other state provide a checklist as we have, because it gives people confidence to open up, but it also gives people confidence to turn up to a venue and know that they can take loved ones knowing that venue has downloaded all the checklist and done everything it can to be safe. And that's the kind of environment we want, because none of us know when the cure will be found, none of us will know when the vaccine will be available. So we don't know how long we have to live in a COVID safe environment. That's why it's so important for businesses to follow down this path. And even as restrictions are eased further, businesses will still be able to maintain that COVID safe baseline, because we know that some level of social distancing and definitely hand hygiene will need to be part of our lives until there is a cure or a vaccine. And this system we've established in New South Wales gives people that certainty about moving forward.
But for businesses, for businesses who blatantly say they want to break the rules, are you going to police them, and send in the police and break up somebody's wedding if there's, 60
Can I just ask everybody to please be patient? There isn't much more to wait in terms of making sure that every aspect of businesses that have felt restricted will have some pressure released in the near future, so long as all of us keep doing the right thing. And let's not forget, and I hate to remind people of this because it wasn't a happy occasion for those involved, but a lot of the breakouts that happened in New South Wales were at events like weddings, where people came together, they were close, one or two people were exposed to the virus, and then that spread to the whole wedding party or other occasion, and we don't want to see that continue. And the health advice is changing as we move forward, and as I said in the last couple of weeks, we hadn't anticipated a space in New South Wales where activity would increase but the case numbers wouldn't. And that's where we are at the moment, and we want to keep it that way.
If you're going to find, Premier,
this particular business is taking a stand in direct response to a protest that was held that on Thursday last week you gave the green light to. So can you understand why they're frustrated?
Can I stress, the New South Wales government never has and never will support any activity which is not in line with the health orders. Never ever. Never ever. Last week there were some protests that occurred in New South Wales earlier on in the week within the health orders. The New South Wales government would never, ever, ever approve any activity, let me make that very clear, which was not in line with the health orders. We've all worked too hard, and that is definitely our position moving. It's been our position from day one, and it will continue to be our position. The reason why New South Wales is doing well hasn't happened by accident. We had over 200 cases in March. No other state had that many. We were growing exponentially, and if we'd continued on that path, just look around the world. We would have been one of those other cities that aren't coping because they had so many cases. We've taken firm action, and what we want to provide now is leadership, not just in New South Wales, but to other parts of the nation as to how you can have opening up of business in a COVID-safe way through the checklist we've done. And we ask everybody to please respect those rules, to please respect the way we're approaching this, because we want to be sustainable. We don't want to be in a position where we go backwards and have to tell business to shut down again. We never want to be in that position. But if businesses do the checklist, if businesses make sure that they do everything they can for their staff and their patrons, we'll be able to move forward. And I have every confidence that will happen, because the response we've had from business, it has been overwhelming. People are feeling grateful. In fact, I would have thought everyone is justified in feeling very frustrated, whether you're an owner, an operator, a manager, or even a staff member. But the way in which we've approached the issue in New South Wales, I hope, demonstrates good faith. We have faith in our business community to do the right thing. We have faith in people to be patient, especially in those industries that are still feeling frustrated. Dealing with a pandemic isn't easy. It's not clear. There's no rule book. But I'm confident that the way we're approaching things in New South Wales will allow people to feel that little bit of hope and certainty about the future. And if we continue to do well, let me assure you, New South Wales will not be afraid, based on health advice, to move forward quickly, because we've demonstrated our ability to respond, we've demonstrated our ability to be nimble, and we've demonstrated our ability to move forward and support businesses and jobs, which is a priority for us. Those job numbers in April were horrific. The March quarter results in terms of growth were horrific, and we don't want that repeated moving forward. We know the June quarter figures won't be pleasant either, but we're doing everything we can to stem the tide of unemployment, especially as JobKeeper will conclude in September. We know that hundreds and thousands of people in New South Wales will be leaving JobKeeper, perhaps without a job. And that's not what we want. We want to make sure that whether it's a business like Bella or businesses around the state are able to employ their staff again. And we also want to see hours built up to what they were pre-COVID, because even though a lot of businesses have been able to keep their staff, or at least have them turn up to their premises depending on the industry, a lot of staff aren't getting the hours they used to, because obviously activity is still suppressed and customers, the number of customers isn't what it used to be.
Frank, you said that the government would never give...
I'm sorry?
Do you support the police minister when he said yesterday that he doesn't want permits issued for any process for the remainder of the year?
Well, any activity has to be within the health rules. If anybody doesn't comply with the health orders, well, that is deemed to be an illegal activity. So that is the most important message we can give. It doesn't matter what level of activity it is. It doesn't matter what part of society it covers. If you're proposing to do something which is breaching the health orders, well, that is regarded as an illegal activity. And that is something... I'm sorry?
Mr. Elliott wanted to go further than that, because the permit was issued for 50 Chippendale Richmond.
Yeah.
He says no more permits.
Yeah. Well, obviously that is what we'll look at, because we want people to respect the health orders. The health orders are changing, but there is no excuse for anybody, any organisation, anybody thinking they're above the health orders, and that's really what this is about. It's making sure that everybody respects the health orders, and I think we need to draw a line in the sand of what happened on the weekend. It wasn't just what happened in Sydney, it happened all across Australia. And as disappointing as it was, we need to draw a line in the sand and move forward, and we need to make sure everybody knows the risks of breaching the health orders, and all of us want us to keep moving forward, and we have to do it together. And can I say, in the main, the community has been absolutely positive and overwhelmingly respectful of the health orders, but I do think we need to draw a line in the sand and move forward, and also accept that there are bumps in the road. We don't know how long the pandemic will last, and there'll always be bumps in the road as to how various parts of community or governments deal with the pandemic. But what I do know is I have absolute faith in the people of this state, because we've demonstrated from where we've been to where we are our capacity to be able to work together, and I want all of us to continue to do that into the future.
Premier, sorry, you said the government would never give the green light or allow anything that would be in breach of the health order, but the police wrote a new Form 1 for this protest to go ahead, expecting 5,000 people would be in attendance. They changed the Form 1 and changed the area where it was going to be held because of the extra people. How is a rally of 5,000 people in any way in the health order?
Well, that's why I repeat my statement that the New South Wales government never would and never will support any activity which breaches the health orders. And as soon as that was brought to the government's attention, we took swift action by going to the Supreme Court. Let me make that very clear. As soon as it was brought to our attention that the organisers couldn't guarantee a COVID-safe way, or what the original application was, that's when the New South Wales government took swift action. And I want to stress that point. Never will support any activity which breaches any health orders. And again, I say to all of us, let's just draw a line in the sand. All of us are disappointed and regret what occurred on the weekend, not just in New South Wales, but across the nation. But what we need to do now is work together to make sure we get on top of we keep on top of this virus, because all of us want to go back to level of normality as much as possible. And the New South Wales government, let me assure everybody, will move as quickly as we can in a safe way. And again, our focus isn't just getting on top of the virus in a health perspective. Our focus is getting those jobs back, getting the economy back, but also getting quality of life back. And we'll continue to be able to do that so long as all of us work together. And of course, we always have a keen eye on the data. And I know Minister Dominello, who's here, keeps on our back about that as well. But the data analysis, or the opportunity we have to look at data in New South Wales, our ability to monitor increasing activity and the impact that's having on cases or otherwise, is giving us a good indication and optimism about how fast we can move moving forward. And whilst New South Wales, because of the global city that Sydney is, had the highest number of cases, had the highest number of people passing on the virus to others, the way in which we've been able to get those numbers down, the way in which we've been able to contain the community spread is something all of us should be proud of. But it also means we have to be vigilant to make sure we stay vigilant, because any easing, any type of complacency on our part could mean we go backwards, and that's certainly something we don't want to do.